The Blackhawks are back in action, looking to erase last night's loss in Buffalo. We'll preview the game and hear from Jeff Blashill next on the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show. Happy Friday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks pregame show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use our code CHGO365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Jay Zawaski. That's Mario Tirabassi.
Hello.
Chloe is flying the ship tonight.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to do great. Already off to a flawless start. We expect it to continue. Sarah's here to yell at us.
We only expect perfection.
Yes, exactly right. And look what we got.
Hey, look at that.
Hey-o.
Looking good.
$700.
Yes.
Or best offer. Thanks to the Hawks for giving us one of these. We're going to do a mini pod, really breaking it down tomorrow, so look for that. But we got more important things to do right now. We have Blackhawks and Sabres. Really good opportunity for the Hawks tonight to just completely wash away the third period against Seattle and get 2 wins against a team that is asking you to beat them night after night. Let's hope they can do it. Let's hear from Jeff Blashill right now. We'll hopefully get some lineup news. And there's no reporters at the arena from Chicago, so we might have to just take our best guess at lines here. But here's Jeff Blashill.
Let's get crazy.
Without Andre Bertuzzi and some of the injuries that seem to be mounting right now, is there I guess, is there a philosophy in that locker room of next man up and taking pride in that?
Yeah, there has to be, right? And you know what's happened here is we've got a lot of guys kind of in and out. It's kind of been the story of the year. We haven't necessarily lost guys for a long time, but we've lost a lot of guys. So, you know, obviously Andre plays a big role in the team. But, you know, I think anytime Bertuzzi's been on that line with Connor, he's done a really good job there. You know, the power play is going to look a little bit different, but guys got to step into those roles and do a good job. Slags comes back in. Slags is a good player, and he's got to come out and give us real valuable minutes tonight.
Any update on Andre?
Not more than last night. I mean, for me, it's kind of a day-to-day situation.
Bertuzzi, you mentioned being there with Connor. He's playing his 100th game as a Blackhawk. I know you've been a big supporter of his going back to the American League days. What most has impressed you with his play?
You know, he's been excellent this year. Just, you know, I think he's really done a good job of balancing when to make a play and when to live another day. Very few games has he tried to force something out of nothing. He's made lots of plays, but he's also taken what's given. He competes so hard on pucks. He wins so many pucks. So honestly, he's just been a big addition. And from a leadership standpoint, he's done a great job of leading by example.
Has he always been good with one hand on his stick?
One hand, he's good with his feet. I think he'd rather play soccer than hockey sometimes. But he loves that stuff, though. You know, like he enjoys that part of the game, and so good for him.
Your power play has been real good. It's in the top 10. Their penalty kill is #1 in the National Hockey League. Is there anything you saw from the video?
You know, I've watched them a little bit here, and so, you know, they're pretty tight. They're in a pretty tight diamond. They will kind of flex out when they think they can. So, you know, it can be one of those ones that you can get frustrated. You just got to understand, like, you got to continue to shoot pucks. You got to look for lanes to the net. Try to create a little bit of confusion maybe with movement. You know, they'll also score shorthanded, so we got to make sure we do a good job of kind of the weak side flank, getting back above and not giving up any odd mans that way. Not playing afraid to get scored on, just playing smart.
Any keys to going up against Tage Thompson with the shot that he has?
Yeah, I mean, you got to make sure you know that you don't allow him to release it. He's one of those shooters. He doesn't need much space at all. He's in that category of the very best shooters in the league. He's a dynamic player, so you got to make sure that you're on him and you don't give him any space at all.
All right, that's Jeff Blashill, courtesy of the Chicago Blackhawks. So the big news out of that, Slaggert is playing, Burakovsky day-to-day. I would call that a bit of a wishy-washy day-to-day, but I think anytime you're dealing with potentially a concussion.
He's probably got to go through protocol, and then they'll be able to get him some sort of diagnosis. I wouldn't think he's even with them in Buffalo. Like, he probably
I would imagine
wouldn't have traveled. Last night, Blashill said he's not playing, so... yeah, hopefully it's not a long-term thing because of how well he's been playing. And you never want to see guys lose time to head injuries long term, because that's just not good for your head. So yeah, as Blashill said, next man up mentality. Landon Slager gets an opportunity to jump into the lineup, and he's a guy that I think, along with him and Lafferty, like they bring a lot of speed, a lot of energy, a lot of tenacity on the puck in the forecheck. So that's an element of their game that, against this Buffalo team, like, you amp up the pressure and you can force them to make some mistakes.
Yeah, Buffalo's such a strange team, because it feels like for years people have been expecting them to sort of turn this corner. They've had the Blackhawks thing too with Dahlin and Power, and like those guys have panned out. They've been good, and
then they also
Alex
had
Tuck
Eichel and
Sam
Reinhart and all these.
There've been some big mismanagement, but still, I think that the roster is better than it's playing. But that's just kind of the story of the Buffalo Sabres. So it's hard to say. You mentioned they just got smoked by Calgary the other night. And
6-2 loss on Wednesday,
and then game before beat the Oilers,
5-1 win over the Oilers. Like, so, it's hot and cold.
Yeah, so I really am interested to see how the Blackhawks begin this game, because as we talked about all night on the post-game show last night, this can go one of two ways after a loss like you had to Seattle, where you had the game well in hand for 40 minutes, you've started falling apart, and then some things started going against you in the third, and you end up losing a game you should have won. Do they bounce back with fury and vengeance today against Buffalo, or is it the sort of loss that could potentially crush a young team? I think, based on the coaching staff and based on the leadership of this team, they're going to be fine. They're going to be ready to play, and I'm really anxious for puck drop today, because I want to see it. This is the first time. It's not the first time they've been challenged this year, but it's the first time they left the game, I think, with a really bad taste in their mouths.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen them face adversities in game and be able to kind of roll with it, overcome it, or just how they respond to it. But I don't know if we've really seen them game over game have to deal with an adversity where a game ends in the style that it did last night, and then you jump right back into it, and the microscope is on how they respond. Talked about it last night, like a few years ago, even last season, a game like last night rolling into tonight, you feel like, well, it's going to carry over. And I think this is going to be a big test where they have to be able to shake off something like that and move on to the next game. And, sometimes it's hard to do that. I know for the style in which the last game finished, you feel, even I today, I'm still just like, that effing call. But you got to move on. You got to move on, because that was just game 20. Like, there's still 62 more to play. And if you want to say that they're all going to be important, then you got to come into this game not feeling anything that you did last night, and feeling, a renewed sense of, okay, it's not, you want to get the win. Of course, you want to get the 2 points that you feel like you probably should have gotten last night, but you can't look across the ice and see the Kraken in the Sabres. You have to see the Sabres and say, okay, this is a new group. This is a new opportunity to put forth a better effort, a better collective 60 minutes, and don't let it come down to one moment in the game with 4 minutes to play. Like, put your foot down from the start and don't let up.
Well, and I think that's part of the criticism we had about the previous games. Like, they win handily against Calgary. They beat Toronto, right? Mm-hmm. And they're teams they should beat, but it's like they let them hang around too much. And there was this kind of, it was interesting, because last night, for the first 40 minutes, the Hawks are doing everything right. North and south, passes on the tape, keeping the game simple, pucks on net, good decisions with the, moving their feet, all the things that you want to see them do. Then they lose it in the third. But what we saw against Calgary and Toronto and some games prior was, it did almost feel as if they were starting to believe in themselves. I don't want to say too much, because it sounds critical, but I think they're realizing, hey, look, we're a pretty good team. And as Blashill said about yesterday's game, he didn't think there were enough guys ready to start yesterday.
Yeah.
They've got to recognize that while they are significantly better, and we all believe a team that could compete for a playoff spot this year, because they already are.
They have been, yeah.
Right? And they have not been healthy all year. At some point, they're going to get healthier, and there could be potential reserves coming in Nick Lardis or Sacha Boisvert or Anton Frondel, on and on and on. That could all happen this year, but they've got to be ready. They've got to play 60. They're not good enough to not play 60 yet. We saw the Dynasty Hawks. They're going to fart around for 40 minutes and be like, oh, third period? All right, time to win this game. And they had the ability to do that.
You have a Stanley Cup on your resume.
Yes,
you have a couple guys that have played in the All-Star game and the Olympics and all that stuff. Yeah, right. You have the laurels to rest on where you can turn it on and be able to play that way. And I saw people last night talking about it in the chats. I see people today kind of having the same sentiment of like, why are we talking about this team like they're a playoff team? It's just like, well, because they're in a playoff position, and the way that they've been playing, it's been different. It's above the expectations so far through 20 games that I think anybody would have thought that the Hawks were to be in. I mean, we talked about before the season that if this team fell in the 75 plus point range, close to 80 points, hey, that's a win. That's a big improvement from last year. They're on pace to be a playoff team. They're on pace for a point total that gets you into the postseason. And I think that's where, it comes from, because now, hey, we're ahead of schedule as far as how it feels for the rebuild and where this season could have been. So I think, sure, like if we get to January and they're back down into the bottom 4 or 5 teams of the Western Conference, sure, then you know what? Maybe we got ahead of our skis. But I think right now you just got to look at what's ahead of you. You got to look at how they've played, and the opportunity that they have ahead of them. And the opportunity they have is a winnable game against Buffalo to, not let the bad vibes creep in and not let things snowball in the wrong direction to the tune of a couple game losing streak.
Yeah. Look, like we got some pushback, and people on Twitter were like, well, it's a young team and they're learning and they're not going to play perfectly. And
which is true.
Yeah. Perfection is not the expectation, but they have shown you that they can play with some of the best teams in hockey. Seattle is a playoff team as of right now. By definition, they are in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
2 points ahead of the Hawks.
They're third in the Pacific.
And they were toying with them for 40 minutes. So the ability is there. The talent is there. Look, it'd be one thing if they were winning that game last night 2-0, but being outshot like 30-10, right? And it was just like, okay, it's a matter of time that until Seattle gets back into this. No, the Hawks had that game well under control, and they were skating circles around the Kraken, frankly, for 40 minutes. So yes, they're young. Yes, there's going to be growing pains, but I think, game to game, it's okay to look at things and say, that shouldn't have happened. And I think if you went around that room and talked to all those guys in those locker stalls, they would all agree and say, yeah, you know what? We screwed that up. And there were some extenuating circumstances, of course, but they had the opportunity to put the Kraken away, and they didn't, and it bit them in the ass. So hopefully, as I said last night, the Seattle loss can be that let's not have this happen again. Remember Seattle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they put a sign in the locker room. Remember Seattle. They got a touchdown on the way out to just keep them. Make sure it's 60. Make sure no NHL game is won until that final horn sounds.
Right.
And they've got to play like that. We do have lineups. These are from Ben Pope, who's not in Buffalo, but were sent to him from someone on the scene. Connor Bedard centering Ryan Green and Tyler Bertuzzi. Frank Nazar with Teuvo Teravainen and Oliver Moore. Ryan Donato with Colton Dock and Ilya Mikheyev. And then Slaggert and Lafferty are your extra forwards. Vlasic and Crevier, Kaiser and Levshinov, Grzelcyk and Murphy are your pairs with Renzel as the extra. Arvid Soderblom gets a start in goal for the Hawks. And I think that's predictable because you probably want Spencer Knight for Colorado, being that they have one regulation loss.
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
They're a good team.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have Tyler Bertuzzi back and playing the way he did last night. Like you see how different this team is with him in it. So, he draws into the spot Burakovsky was in. Everybody just kind of slides up. Again, it's that next man up mentality that Blashill was talking about, and you want those guys to be able to kind of roll up in the lineup, roll down in the lineup, whatever the responsibility is going to be. You want guys to be able to, adapt and be able to handle things. And I think with the 11 forwards rotation, we've seen that kind of be, the hand to be forced, that each guy has to be able to, play different roles, play with different players. Same with the defensemen. Like, you're not out there. It's not going to be Alex Vlasic and Louis Crevier stapled to each other all game. Like they'll rotate and based off of matchups and based off of how the game flows, like things will rotate. So I think I've liked what I've seen from the groups when they've been, Jason Dickinson's out or Tyler Bertuzzi's out or Frank Nazar's out. Like, I liked over the course of the season how the guys have been able to kind of come in and respond. You saw Sam Lafferty a few games ago, was his first game in like 14 games or something like that, and he has a toe drag backhand goal that like makes you jump out of your seat. So like, guys being able to take advantage of the opportunity, like, you want to see them be able to do that. Slager's got a chance to do that tonight. That's exciting. And Soderblom in net, like, it's funny, so much we talk about Spencer Knight and the impact he's had. Soderblom's been having a pretty decent season himself. Like, you look at the Blackhawks goaltending tandem between those two this season. I mean, I'd argue probably one of the best in the league. Spencer Knight, 14 games played. He's got a .922 save percentage and a .247 goals against. And that's before even getting into the fancy stats about how many goals above expected he's saved this year.
Yeah.
Arvid Soderblom in 6 games is got a .912 save percentage and a 2.52.
That's great.
Goals against. Like, that's fantastic. You take either of those stat lines each night in and night out, especially knowing how goaltending has gone and the trend it's been on this season. And then you stack that up against, the Sabres and what they've got going tonight. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen,
best name in hockey.
UPL. He's definitely not the best goalie they got.
He is not.
4 games he's played, he's got an .883 save percentage and a 3.02 goals against. So
that's with the league's best penalty kill.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, you got him starting tonight. I talk about an opening for you to take advantage of is playing a team that's at the bottom of the Eastern Conference with their third goalie. Like, that, again, like, you don't want to overlook opponents. You don't want to say this is, you step on the ice and you win the game, but that's favorable.
Yeah. Well, the 5-on-5, as I just sort of briefly mentioned, is going to be very important today because Buffalo does have the league's top penalty kill. So sometimes when you're undermanned offensively, no Burakovsky, no Dickinson, no Foligno, you try to make up that hay on the power play. It's going to be tougher to do tonight. But we saw the Hawks really good at 5-on-5 last night against Seattle. So they're fast. The Hawks are a fast team. Mm-hmm. The Sabres are a big team. Let's hope that speed beats size today and they get their opportunities to score. But look, like, I think that Bertuzzi being back and the impact that he had immediately last night, I don't want to say it eases Burakovsky being out, but boy, if they were both out, then it's not great. And to see Bertuzzi play the way he did last night, and I was a little worried today as we're getting ready for the show, talking about lines, planning the show. Like, are we sure Bertuzzi's even playing? Because back to back after missing, what was it, 3 games he missed?
Mm-hmm. And he wasn't practicing.
Yeah, so I was a little bit concerned he wasn't going to play. So he is on the top line with Bedard and Green. So hopefully that they can keep that chemistry going. But this is a winnable game. Win it.
Yeah.
Like this is where we find out. We're sort of at this stretch now where we were going to find out who the Hawks are. Right? Like, what are they made of?
We're reaching that American Thanksgiving benchmark. We've hit the quarter mark of the season, and I talked with Alex Vlasic about it before yesterday's game about how much do you put weight on the results that you've gotten this season, whereas you look at it as, is this who you are, or is this you guys are off to a hot start kind of thing? And he kind of made the point that 10 games in, 15 games in, you might say that that's kind of the benchmark for hot starts, but anything after that, you start to feel like you got some trends, you got some identity built, and I think so far through that, from 15 games on, we've seen this Hawks team play pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything, and I think you agree, but I want to speak for you, but I don't see anything that they're doing that's unsustainable aside from the high shooting percentage, right? Mm-hmm. Where But we talked about this last week. The value of shots and the quality of shots that they're taking is, yeah, they could pepper 50 shot attempts that are from the perimeter, and yeah, the Corsi numbers look great,
but they don't do anything.
If you're getting better quality chances, your shooting percentage is going to go up. That's just logic.
Right.
So keep creating those chances. Keep doing the things you do to create them, which is getting in deep, getting in front of the net. You know, those sort of things. We check the heat map after every game, and I think most games this year it has been red hot right in front of the opponent's goalie, and that's what you want to see. Last year, a lot of you'd see a lot of the heat spots at the points and at the wings. Most of it's been focused right in front. They're playing the right way. I'm not seeing anything with the naked eye that looks unsustainable. That looks like a team that's all smoke and mirrors and they're just fooling people and it's a matter of time before they look like last year's team again. I think that ship has sailed. I think the bottom of the league Blackhawks, I think that era is over. And now it's a matter of how close can they get to the playoff spot when the season ends.
I would hope so. Looking at some of the advanced metrics here, Corsi 4 percentage, 45 and change percent. That's low in the league, bottom 3 in the league. Same with their shots 4 percentage, towards the bottom of the league, but their goals 4 percentage is high, and as we've kind of have alluded to, their high danger shooting percentage for the season is 19.1%. For the last 10 games, it's over 20%. So if you're getting 5 high danger chances in a game, one of them's going in. And a lot of teams can average about 7 or 8 a game, maybe 9 or 10. And if the Hawks are in that range, you're talking about that's 2 goals per game that you'd be averaging from the high danger area. You also look at it, your high danger save percentage is one of the best in the league, 90%. Yeah. So you got Arvid Soderblom and Spencer Knight. When the other team is getting to those dangerous areas, they're coming up big. They're denying those goals. So I think your high shooting percentage as a team overall, yeah, it is pretty high for what can be considered sustainable. But it's not like they're shooting the lights out from mid range.
Right.
They're getting to that 10-foot radius around the net, and they're making the most of their chances. They're getting to those areas where those chances are prime and high quality. And we've seen Connor Bedard get to the middle of the ice and score. Like it's a different way that they're scoring. And I think the sustainability of that, part of it is skill based, obviously. But a part of it is mentality based, and guys like Tyler Bertuzzi and Ryan Donato and Nick Foligno, those are guys that'll go to those areas. And Jeff Blashill has talked about how that can be infectious around the group. You see Oliver Moore driving the net, Frank Nazar driving the net. You'd think those guys are skill guys and perchance to playing on the perimeter. Those are guys that want to get to the front of the net because that's where goals are scored. So I think this team will have the mentality to sustain that style of play, and just going to see how your bodies hold up through 82 games.
Yeah, it's you do feel like shooting percentage will come down. Spencer Knight will come somewhat back to earth.
I hope not, but
I hope not. I mean, right now he's playing like the best goalie in hockey. But aside from just like the counting stuff and the metrics and all that, just watching the game on TV or watching the game from the press box, it is not a team that's getting their doors blown off. They're right there in every game, and even when they're not playing their best, you're not seeing those games where it's just a complete wipeout, where they're just getting destroyed. In that Winnipeg game, which is the most lopsided score, 6-3,
right?
That was one of the better games they played on a road trip. It just kind of got away from them. They weren't able to convert, and they gave up too many goals, of course. But they were, in terms of play, in terms of the back and forth exchange of a hockey game, they were right there with the Jets. So,
yeah, I mean,
to me, the biggest thing here is health.
That was a game you played against Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah,
like arguably best goalie in the league.
By the way, Connor Hellebuck hurt now.
Yeah, I saw that.
Out 4 to 6 weeks. You've got to think that is it doesn't hurt Spencer Knight's chances. If he can't go for the Olympics, 6 weeks would be what date?
Yeah. Well, 6. So that you'd still be in January, I think. Yes.
Yeah,
you'd be in January. It doesn't take him out of the Olympics, but it sure takes him out of the groove of the season.
So
and
it'd be January 2nd would be 6 weeks.
And I think for the USA's sake, they'd rather have Connor Hellebuck be available, whether he's 100% or not. You still want to be able to take him. But yeah, I mean, hey, with him sidelined, Spencer Knight now can have an opportunity to kind of step further into the spotlight and put some solid performances up.
It would be very cool to see that happen. I think it's a long shot because there's some good U.S. goalies. It's a shame he's not Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
He'd probably be the starter.
He would be.
Before we wrap up, we got to mention tonight in Minnesota, Blackhawks first-round pick Mason West looking to lead his high school teams at a state championship.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Big game.
This is the reason he stayed at school, was to win a state championship. Come back, play one more year of football, win state, and he's got a chance to do it tonight. Very cool. We'll definitely have an eye on that game as we're watching Hawks. We won't be able to see it. We'll be keeping abreast of what's happening.
Hey, you don't know how many streaming services of
sometimes
Minnesota local high school football that I subscribe to.
CHSN sometimes has Ohio State championships and everything. And
yeah, I looked. There's unless we're gonna sail the high seas of the internet. I don't know if there's a way to see it. But yeah, we're gonna keep up the tabs with it. Edina versus Moorhead for the 6A Minnesota State Championship, and it is quite the story for Mason and his team. He won a state championship in hockey last season with Edina, and set out, as you said, his goal was to win a state championship in football to kind of close that book on his football career, and this will be his last football game. It's senior year of high school. You're playing in the state championship game. I can't think of a more picturesque way for him to close that chapter of his life and move forward with his hockey career after that. He's expected to play with Fargo in the USHL, and I believe, I tried to clear it with Scott Powers, and he was pretty certain that this was what it was, is that he signed his national letter of intent to play hockey at Michigan State. I know he had verbally committed. I think he's actually signed now, so everyone worrying about, might he play football still? I think he's following the hockey path.
Yeah, I think the Hawks were pretty confident in that when they drafted him. But look, you've got so many draft picks, you could take a little bit of a swing, and they did. It's going to be really interesting to watch Mason West's development now that he is going to he's a first-round pick with half of his focus on hockey. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and maybe if you want to say, maybe more people projected him in the second round, the only reason he was projected there was because of the fear of him going to play football. It wasn't about his hockey ability.
Yeah. I remember as we were kind of getting closer to the draft and looking at some of those guys that might be, end of the first round, early second round. I remember talking with, Chris Peters about it, and it just started to intrigue me. The intangibles he had, the measurables he had, the limited hockey he played, why so many people were excited about him, and he was just this raw talent, and kind of felt a lot like Sam Renzel, where it was just like there's a lot of raw talent, and you probably have some time for that to develop, and Sam Renzel developed ahead of schedule, and we'll see what happens with Mason, but when they picked him, man, I was just like so excited, because I was just like, hey, this is a fun kid to follow, like a fun player that like you said, like he's not even fully into his hockey career. He's not even fully focused on it. Yeah. And he's already garnering the attention of first round pick status. So I'm excited to see what he does once he does hit the ice, because what he's been doing with football has been really impressive. So yeah, go Cake Eaters tonight.
I can't help that I'm coughing.
Stop coughing.
Chloe's yelling at me already. She's just moving right into Sarah mode.
Gonna.
There is a mute button on a Roadcaster. If you were paying attention to me, you would see me. Do I have a cough button?
You got to unplug your microphone, Jay, and plug it back in.
Anyway, that's it. We're saving that for post game.
What?
Yeah, we can't. You're Pepe Silva.
Oh,
from Corey. But that's a good opportunity to tell you, as soon as the game ends, we will be here if Chloe doesn't kill us by then. So make sure you hit that like button on your way out. We'll talk to you as soon as Hawks and Sabres wrap up, hoping for a win, hoping to get Noodleman in Studio C for the first time. Talk to you then on CHGO Blackhawks, presented by Bet365.
We all silly like the mayor.